Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another round, Basis Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm not that well at the moment. It kind of took me by surprise a little bit earlier today. So yeah, I've been kind of getting through it a little bit, but we got to do the picks. But with that being said, there's only two fights that I'm particularly interested in. So realistically, I'm only going to do those. I'll try and edit out any coughing, sneezing, spluttering, etc., etc. I might have to stop this and come back and back and forth a little bit to try and get the content out. But yeah, essentially I was actually going to do this a little bit later in the day, but then I realized that the Australia card is actually taking place like in the morning our time, as opposed to the evening as it would normally be on a Friday. So because of that, I had to get this one out a little quicker. Ultimately, you've got Janibek Connolly against Andre Mikhailiovic for the IBF and I believe the WBO middleweight championships of the world. Janibek came into this fight off the back of a dehydration scare. This fight was supposed to take place initially in, I believe it was July, and then was rescheduled with a new purse bid because Janibek collapsed due to dehydration, which is never really a good sign. Most people felt that meant that he would probably have to go up to super middle, but he has made the weight comfortably. Technically it was yesterday now for us, but that being said, he only went out to Australia, I think 36 hours before the fight, 48 hours. So I think he went out there Thursday their time or Wednesday their time, which is a little suspect. But he said that he had been doing his training camp, most of it in Kazakhstan. I think they're like about 5 hours difference between there and Australia, whereas if he was in America it's about 17 hours. So yeah, you definitely want to kind of get closer, and obviously the UK is about 11 hours behind Australia and whatnot. So yeah, look, that's what he chose to do. In terms of the fight and how I see the fight playing down, Andre Mikhailiovic, look, he's durable, he's tough, he's got decent range of punches. He also has he's got decent footwork. Okay, you know, his jab is comfortable enough, but he does at times throw his jab very lazily. Doesn't really snap it and get it back to where it needs to be. Sometimes at times he will throw punches while in movement, which doesn't necessarily get the necessary power on them. It's a way for him to kind of get to the target and sort of get into range with the shot, but there's usually not a lot of power on it, and then that can sometimes lead him to be a bit countered. That being said, look, he's got all the hometown advantages in this one. So the question is he good enough to be able to stop the, you know, that feint step that Janibek likes to do, or be able to stop that southpaw switch that he can put on there through, you know, touching with the jab, moving around slightly, just touching, moving positions ever so slightly, and then bang, that left hand comes in, and then he's got his opponent backed up towards the ropes, sort of trying to finish the story and finish the game strong. That is ultimately going to be the interesting part of this. I'm a little concerned about the whole traveling to the new country only 48 hours in advance. I mean, look, 5 hours is still 5 hours. Maybe the sense is you do it so that the jet lag doesn't quite hit you straight away, because sometimes normally when I go away, jet lag is fine for me for the first 2-3 days. It's always like maybe on the third or the fourth day where it starts to kind of catch me a little bit, especially coming back the other way. So maybe that's the thought process behind it, rather than have to acclimatize to it, just kind of get in there, do what you need to do, and then get out before it really sets in. Bit of a dangerous game plan. But if I'm being real, looking at just Andre Mikhailjevic as he is not on the same level technically, or even in my opinion power wise, that Janibek is. So if everything has gone correct in the camp, he looked like he made the weight quite well. Andre looks a little bit a little bit cautious and subdued at the weigh-ins a little bit earlier on. I've got a feeling that Janibek has I won't say a routine win, because things won't be in his favor, but I do expect him to get a stoppage. I've kind of predicted in my league a sort of around about round 7 or 8. There could be an opportunity where he maybe finishes business early. Maybe he does have a couple of interesting moments. The odds are definitely worth putting some money on Mikhailjevic just because of how wide they are. I think they're like 25-1 or something like that at this point in time. But realistically, the safe money is to just, throw a load down on Janibek, and that's kind of what I would be doing if I was going to bet on it. But yeah, I do predict that he will win this fight, probably via a stoppage. Actually, no, I'm going to say a knockout in round 8. So I just about managed to get through that whole entire first bit before my nose started running. So obviously I had to pause, come back again. Next one, look, we've got Nick Ball against Ronnie Rios. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Nick Ball's been given a homecoming fight. You could say he maybe deserves it after his last 3 performances. I think within the space of a year, he has had 3 fights. He had the Isaac Dogbe fight, had the Ray Vargas fight, then had the Ray Ford fight as well. I still believe he lost that one, and I still agree with the draw of the Vargas one. I'm just throwing that out there. That being said, I've interviewed Nick Ball before. Really cool guy, really solid, stocky. He's gonna obviously have the height disadvantage to Ronnie Rios, but Rios, he's not as physically imposing as what Nick Ball is for the weight. Rios is tough, durable, but every time he sort of stepped up to anywhere, at that world level, has been found wanting. He's been in several wars. I think he's about 34 now, so he's not a young guy. 33, 34. He's definitely at that last peak. This is last chance saloon, but this is ultimately a homecoming fight for Nick Ball. And the one thing I will say about Nick Ball is he's not the type that's going to take a homecoming fight and take his eye off the ball, no pun intended. I truly do think that he is going to, because it is in Liverpool, it is in his neck of the woods, and he's obviously desperate to repay the fans and the loyalty, the people that, were going to those small hall shows that he had been in, buying those tickets off of him, like getting him up the ladder, managing to get him to where he is now. He's going to want to repay them in blood. That's how I see it. I don't really even see this fight being that competitive. I think Rios is going to try and be the defender in those first few rounds, and maybe feel that, okay, if I can get towards the second half, I can maybe start to test him or test his gas tank. But as much as I know that he probably feels he can win the fight, I think very quickly into the fight he's going to realize he can't. And it's going to be about, do I go out on my shield and potentially get knocked out, or do I just try and see it out to maintain the fact that, look, I'm a tough, durable guy that doesn't really get stopped or anything like that. In my opinion, I think that he's eventually going to come to the realization that the fight's not going to go his way, and rather than just being there for 36 minutes taking a beating, I do think he's going to try and trade and swing it out with Nick Ball, and I ultimately think that's going to be the undoing. I think he will get caught with something, will get dropped, probably get thrown about, ragdolled a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know who the referee is. I would assume, I've got a feeling it's probably going to be Howard Foster, so I can see the fight being stopped, being waved off by the referee. I do see Nick Ball winning the fight, and I see him winning the fight in the mid to late rounds, so I'm looking between round 7 to 9, and I think, yeah, that will basically send the Liverpool fans home happy, in my opinion. But yeah, look, that's as much as I'm going to do today, guys. I'm going to try and get some content on the channel tomorrow and on Saturday. Also, I'm going to put up a community post about a potential non-boxing related live that I want to do on the weekends. I'm going to see what you guys think about that. If I'm well enough to do it, we'll do it if everyone is kind of happy. I've had some people in the lives before saying, yeah, they'd be willing to watch some non-boxing live streams, watch alongs or whatnot, so we'll put that to the test. With that being said, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Apologies if content isn't to your normal likings. I've now got another new mic, so let me know what you guys think of this one. But yeah, with that being said, Spaces Picks, locked.